You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
It's back to school season. Yay! I absolutely love the start of a new school year. It reminds me of when I was a kid getting all of my school supplies at the stores, my big Lisa Frank binders and all of that fun stuff. But really, I was thinking about those Lisa Frank binders the other day and what was up with the themes? There were dolphins on spaceships and panda bears on rainbows, just crazy stuff, but they were so fun. That's what I always think of when it comes to back to school. But what you're probably thinking of when it comes to back to school is, what am I going to do this year? Help! So I've got 2 freebies that you absolutely have to download. So the first one is a 30, 60, 90-day plan, and I give you a checklist of what you can do during your first 30, 60, and 90 days as a school counselor. This is a great way to break down that seemingly overwhelming to-do list that you have. So to snag that one, go to bit.ly/306090counseling. Again, bit.ly/306090counseling. And the other freebie I have, y'all, I'm so pumped for this one. If you haven't downloaded these lesson plans yet, you absolutely have to. I have for you a free year-long curriculum map telling you when to do and what to do every single month across every single tier. So these are lesson plans for elementary school counselors. I have in there what class lesson, what small group, what individual activity, and which data tool to use and when to use it and how to use it. You're going to love these. Again, they're free counseling lesson plans for you guys. Go to bit.ly/counseling lesson plans to download those. It's bit.ly/counseling lesson plans. Okay, guys, I'm also going to throw the links in the show notes to make it a little easier for you. I hope you love these freebies and they make your school year so much fun. Let's play a little game of Would You Rather, School Counselor Edition. Okay, would you rather spend your weekend planning a group or spend your afternoon sitting in irrelevant PD? Yikes. Or would you rather be the only counselor with no one to collaborate with, or to spend hours searching online for engaging activities? All of these options are pretty bad, right? But unfortunately, they're all too real. But what if I told you I had a solution for you? What if I told you I had access to hundreds of school counseling lessons, groups, and activities, counselor-specific trainings on the topics you need most, and a community of like-minded school counselors to support you? You would say, yes, please. Well, that is what Impact is all about. Impact is my monthly membership for school counselors, and it helps you with all of these things. You get access to hundreds of resources. That's unlimited free downloads. Log in and get what you need right away to every single resource that's in my store. We add new resources each and every month. We're adding a new middle school and elementary resource each month, and some of these are bonus Impact exclusives, meaning that you can get resources just for members. You can request resources that you need and easily search so you can find exactly what you're looking for. And let's talk about the trainings, counselor-specific trainings on the topics you need most. We do these each and every month as part of our Coffee with the Counselor series. Impact members get to join for absolutely free. You earn PD certificates and you get exclusive access to members-only things like the Ultimate Small Group Experience and our Summer Summit Conference. And the community. Y'all, this is possibly my favorite part of Impact. I so look forward to jumping on these calls, to getting to know counselors who are similar to me and also completely different. It's so fun to hear from your experiences and your challenges, and everyone brings a unique perspective to the table. We have an exclusive online community, and we even have a cool app where you can chat with other counselors in these community circles. We have our monthly calls, like I mentioned, twice a month, and we share wins, troubleshoot tough cases, and just talk about what it's like to be a counselor, because so often we're on our own island at our school sites. So if any of that sounds like it's for you, I would love to see you inside Impact. Go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact to solve all of your counselor problems. And I have a special offer for my listeners. Use code POD at checkout to save 10% off your first month. Okay, let's go to today's episode. Hey there, thanks for listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. So as you just heard me talk about that freebie, that 30, 60, 90-day plan, I am going to walk through it with you guys. I have it printed out here in front of me, and I'm just going to go through step by step the different areas of the 30, 60, 90-day plan so then you can download your freebie and implement it right away. So I've kind of categorized these into 3 different themes. So the first one is identifying a need and showing face. That's like your first intention for the first month, the first 30 days. When you get to the 60-day mark, you want to start forming a plan and setting up systems. And finally, by the 90-day mark, implementing services and analyzing data. So that's how I've broken it up to make it more manageable. Sometimes at the beginning of the school year, we have a to-do list a mile long, and it's helpful to prioritize things to know what to do first. Now, this month, I've been focusing on the podcast all about back to school stuff. So some of this may be overlap from what I've mentioned in earlier episodes. They all kind of go hand in hand. So let's go ahead and dive in for your 30-day plan. So within those first 30 days of school, these are the 7 things I recommend that you do. First is conduct a needs assessment. So you've probably heard me talk about this. This is a simple Google form you can send to teachers asking what needs they want to see tackled this year. This way you can form your class lessons off of this and get a few small group ideas going as well. The second thing you want to do is meet with your new administrator. So if you have a new administrator, sometimes, or a counselor switch out or new teachers, anyone who's new or has changed at your school site, you want to meet with them to make sure that you are on the same page. A lot of times there's changes in leadership, or you never know, or even if it's your same principal, meet with them and just get on the same page for the school year. What are our goals? What went well last year? What didn't go well last year? If these are new people, just get to know them and see what they're bringing to the program, especially if you have a new co-counselor or something. Everyone getting on the same page is so important. The third thing is to introduce yourself using a Meet the Counselor game. Hopefully earlier in the month you were able to come to my free training where I was sharing how to use a Meet the Counselor game. But you can do a variety of things. You can do Jeopardy, you can do bingo, you can do like a Mr. Potato Head, you can do an escape room. There's so many different things you can do to introduce yourself to your students and to staff, and it's so important that you do that in those first 30 days. The fourth thing to do is to attend or host a back-to-school night. So try to go to an open house or a back-to-school night, set up a booth, share your brochure like I was mentioning, share some referral forms, just show your face and share who you are and what counseling is, how counseling helps students, examples, maybe share some data from previous years, share some groups you plan on doing this year, your class lessons outline, just anything. This is really going to help increase buy-in, increase trust, and just really communicate the role and need of the school counselor. Now, if you don't have a back-to-school night, if your school doesn't have one, you could host your own thing as well. You could even do this virtually if that seems more doable. Next is to establish a referral process. So you want to create some referral forms. Figure out, are you going to do student self-referrals? Are they only going to be for parents and teachers? Make a QR code to link to a digital form. Put forms, print them out, and put them everywhere. Give all the teachers forms, put them in the mailboxes, front office, your office, school website, anywhere you can think of to make it easy to access your services. Next up, map out your classroom counseling lessons. So you want to figure out what you're going to do each month of the school year. So, talk with your admin. Do we have a curriculum we're already using? Am I planning these on my own? Which themes am I going to go off of? Sometimes you can do a seasonal theme, like October's Bullying Prevention Month. We're going to do bullying prevention then. Maybe do some anxiety in the spring for test anxiety, goal setting in January. Get your plan, and then make sure you know when you're going to be teaching which lesson, because those are going to start right away. Then lastly, for your first 30 days, decorate your office. So hopefully you've had some time. I had an episode, the first one a few weeks ago, first week of August, an episode all about your office and getting everything you need set up so you can be set up for success this year. And regardless of the size of your office, just making sure that you have a space for students, your materials organized, a calm down corner, things like that. So then maybe even buy a couple things or make a couple things, print out some posters, and really decorate your office because the school year is fully underway. Now, moving on to the 60-day plan. So this is phase 2, which is forming a plan and setting up systems. And there's 5 steps here. First, establish your counseling caseload. So you want to figure out who you're going to be seeing. So based on your referrals, you're going to create that caseload spreadsheet. I talked about this a couple episodes ago. And like I said, all these episodes are kind of intertwined. But you want to figure out, who you're seeing. Are you seeing them individually or in group? Do you have their permission slip? Have you scheduled their sessions? You want to get your counseling caseload super organized. Then you want to schedule your class lessons. So a lot of this I'm talking about class lessons, but this topic is so dense, y'all. I ended up creating a whole digital course on class lessons called Stress-Free Class Lessons. So you can go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/class lessons if you are like, I need help with my class lessons, and I will tell you everything I know about class lessons. But super briefly, what I can tell you is that you will want to get with teachers and figure out the best time to come in at least once a month. I think once a month is totally appropriate. Some people do more than that, but I think that's a little too taxing and can take away from groups and everything. But find out what the expectation is at your school, and then make sure that you get them booked, and then hold that expectation. Hold that commitment, honor that commitment. So make sure if you're like, okay, I'm going to come into your class the first Tuesday of every month, put it on your calendar, make sure the teacher has it on their calendar, and know what you're going to do. Once you get these scheduled, it's going to be way better than just willy-nilly doing it later. The third thing to do in your 60 days is prepare data collection tools. So figure out how you're going to be collecting data. I would prep some self-assessments. I would get some behavior surveys ready. These are things that I have available as well. I can link to in the show notes, but you're going to have these things printed out and ready to go. So when you start your groups and individuals, you can go ahead and start collecting data. So gathering any necessary forms you need, creating digital versions. Like I said, you don't want to wait till things get really crazy and then you're like, oh gosh, I need to create a data collection form, but you already have it handy. The fourth thing you can do in your 60 days is plan small group curriculum. So once you receive some referrals, let's say you have, 5 referrals for self-esteem and you're going to do a self-esteem group, figure out what you're going to do with those students. Outline each week, get an objective for each week. Make sure that you have an activity planned and a journal or something for each week. As you can see, I love a plan and I love to be prepared. So I would encourage you at this point, the first 30 days you want to focus more on class lessons because that comes first, but then small groups are next. So you want to make sure that you're ready to go with some small group curriculum based on the referrals you're receiving. And the last thing to do in those 60 days is to organize school-wide activities. So take a look at the calendar and think, what are some things I want to do school-wide this year? Do I want to do random acts of kindness? Do I want to do something for Red Ribbon Week? Do I want to do, I don't know. There's so many different things. I encourage you to look at the ASCA awareness calendar and to figure out which events you want to recognize at your school. Think about which ones fit best for your school as well. And your school's like demographic, if there's a awareness month that really meshes well with your school, you definitely want to do that one. You probably can't do something for all of them, but pick the ones that align best for your school population. And moving into those 90 days, that's the 3-month mark. By this point, you're already rocking and rolling. We're going to start making sure we are implementing those services and analyzing data. So you want to make sure the top 3 things here, you should already be teaching class counseling lessons. Like I said, once a month is preferred. You should be facilitating small groups based on referrals. You should be meeting with individual students based on referrals. So just making sure you have all those things in place. Hopefully the things that you did during your 30 and 60 days have helped prepare you for this 90-day so that you're doing these things with ease, using your caseload form, using your referral forms, using your class lesson schedule. But then you also want to conduct those self-assessments and behavior surveys. So like I said, in the 60 days, you're kind of prepping those forms, making sure you have all the data tools you need, but now's the time to actually implement them. So you want to before and after groups and before and after individual sessions, make sure that you are collecting data from students, parents, and teachers. Okay, guys, that's a wrap on the 30, 60, 90-day plan. Like I said, I have a PDF checklist with this info for you guys. Be sure to download it. Go to bit.ly/306090counseling. The numbers 30, 60, 90, and then counseling. That will help you get prepared and ready to rock. If you are checking off your checklist, tag me on Instagram at Bright Futures Counseling. I would love to see it in action. Like I said, I'll link to everything in the show notes. And I hope you guys download those freebies and find them super helpful. And I will talk to y'all next week. See ya.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.